I just, fell in love with the sport watching it, and then he brought me to Eddie, and I just kept going. Yeah, it was definitely great, but I immediately got hungry for another fight just because I spent 2.5 months for more than 2.5 minutes. So I applied myself to school as well as hard as I applied myself to boxing, and it just ended up getting me into Stanford. So I'm extremely blessed.
You managed both.
While I was still amateur, I was interning. I was freshman, sophomore, going to national tournaments for USA Boxing, and I had an internship with Mayweather Promotions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was kind of having 3 things going on at the same time. Okay. Happened all my life because I'm not a super intimidating looking guy. Yeah. So people already underestimate me, even other fighters. So there's always going to be someone who's if they see a picture of me up in the gym, they're like, that's your guy? That's the best guy in the gym. That's always
they're always testing. What's up, everybody? On this episode of the Ideal Hour podcast, I have a professional boxer and Stanford student, Dante Kirkman. He is undefeated, 4-0 with 2 knockouts. I think he's also undefeated being a Stanford student. He's come on the podcast. He trains, or Eddie Croft is his coach. We had Eddie Croft, the legend, on our podcast as well. Love that guy. I'll give you a little brief. Dante, thank you so much for coming on the Ideal Hour. I hope you're going to have fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and I'm so happy to come on after Eddie, kind of set me up for now.
Eddie would be a tough one to beat. He was a great guy. Just to give everybody a backstory from your followers and people that follow you, I truly appreciate Eddie during the closures of all these gyms and everything a few years back with the COVID. Eddie kept his gym open. I got to train jiu-jitsu and learn it with Hanan. Cut Hanan out of there, editor, with Hanato Berzera. And Eddie's gym was fun. I took a few classes with Eddie. I suck at boxing. He's going to tell you that. So I'm not a boxing guy, legend. I just know some self-defense and jiu-jitsu. So nothing I say is professional. Dante is the professional. And Eddie hit me with the noodle a few times. I'm stiff as a board. If Dante hit me right here and I said something bad, it'd be a knockout. And this podcast would end early. So Dante, let's get right into it. You started training at about 10 years old?
Yep.
Your father was a boxer too?
Yep.
Is that why you got into boxing or what?
Yeah, so my dad, he was an amateur boxer. I think he had 20 fights or something like that. Wow. But he's always been a boxing fan. So even though I guess I officially started boxing with Eddie at 10, my dad had kind of, even in diapers, he just would hold his hands as mitts and teach me and my brother how to throw punches. So, my dad just loved boxing. He'd always have boxing on TV, whether it's Floyd, Ali, whoever. And then I just, fell in love with the sport watching it, and then he brought me to Eddie, and I just kept going.
Eddie's a Bay Area legend. B Street Boxing's been around for a long time. I mean, I think he's not just a Bay Area legend. I really think highly of him. He's a nice guy. That's pretty cool. Is your brother a boxer too? I mean, he must have some skill.
He boxed for fun in middle school a little bit, okay. But I stuck with it.
You stuck with it?
Yeah.
But he's dangerous too if someone...
No.
No, okay. All right. No, I hope he doesn't watch it. You're dangerous to me. Okay, so 10, and you've been training pretty consistently. I mean, this is a dedication with Eddie since that time.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And your first professional fight happened in 2024.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that was my pro debut after I finished the Olympic trials at the end of 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you nervous? What is pros the same thing as an amateur fight? Because you're I've been in many fights in my life because a lot of people didn't like me, but it's not. I mean, this is different skill sets, right? So tell me, was it nerve-wracking to go pro or?
I didn't think I was nervous at the time, but going back and watching the video, like I was definitely extremely nervous. Like my eyes were giant, like my heart was beating. I fought that fight with pneumonia. Actually,
Really?
it was crazy. I got really sick. My like final week going into the fight, and so I started coughing up blood and stuff like that. But so like that, like that wasn't good, along with my nerves. But yeah, I was super nervous actually. Eddie and his wife Casey Croft, who's a big part of the team, like they were like, "Oh, he's nervous." Like they didn't want to make me aware of it, but they were whispering to each other. And then after the fight, they were just like, "Ooh, like like that was. I mean, at least you got it out of the way." And so then after that, my second fight, I got like really used to the crowd, got really comfortable. Third fight, similar. Fourth fight, even more comfortable. So I definitely feel like I've adjusted.
It takes some more time. It takes some time to get used to, and now the confidence grows, and know the lights and the intros and everything.
Yeah,
that's amazing. In your last fight, I think you got a knockout. Is that correct?
Yep, first round.
Okay,
2.5 minutes in.
2.5 minutes in. My God, how did that feel?
It was satisfactory. It's just like obviously like knockouts are fun. I personally never thought I would get a first round knockout just because like Eddie has like a very slow methodical style, and it kind of just happened. So like I kind of just landed a shot. The guy went down. I actually got kind of surprised. I jogged away to the corner while the ref counted, and then was like, well, the guy's getting up, so I got a good amount of time left in the round, so I better finish it. So, yeah, it was definitely great, but like I immediately got hungry for another fight just because like I spent 2.5 months for more than 2.5 minutes. So
so, if once the big payday comes, that's a great payday, right?
Yeah.
But right now you're just like, hey, I've been really training. I wanted to really go at it.
Yeah, and so I'm really excited for my next fight, May 24th in Pleasanton. I'm gonna fight my first 6-rounder. It'll be my 5th fight, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to showcasing my skills.
Dude, Pleasanton, May 20th. Who are you fighting?
𝐒𝐤𝐴𝐬𝐻, he's 4-5-1, so he's got 10 fights, and he's fought like a lot of undefeated fighters.
Okay. All right, but I think you're ready.
Yeah.
I think Eddie's got you ready. Let's go back to your dad. So your dad was an amateur fighter. Did you ever ask him like, how come he never went pro, or it wasn't his thing? Did he do it on the side? What was his passion for boxing?
Well, for him, I just think he grew up in East Palo Alto, and so he didn't really, understand where he could go with boxing. East Palo Alto didn't really have anybody. They had actually Mitch Julian, who at one point he was number 8 in the world for I think the welterweight division. He fought like Roger Mayweather or something. But like there wasn't really a understanding of how to like follow from the amateurs to the pros and actually have a career. And so like that's why I'm like just so thankful that I had my dad before me, and then obviously Eddie, who had a great pro career and just like has a foundation and understanding for me to follow. Just because like my dad, he knew he was talented, but he just didn't really know the opportunities that were there for him.
I see. That makes sense. He got you started. Eddie's kind of the mentor that's been there, and he's taking you to that new heights. That's excellent. And I'm sure being a Stanford student kind of adds this like fun spin to this whole thing. Because when Eddie was on the podcast, I talked to him. I said, you got that one Stanford student. He's like, Dante? I said, yeah, Dante. And I was like, that's so interesting, because there's not many. Stanford's a prestigious school. You don't get that many boxers that I've ever heard of coming out of Stanford. How did you end up going to Stanford? What was?
Well, I grew up in Palo Alto, which is a very competitive school district. It's just like every kid in the school is shooting to go to Stanford, Harvard, wherever. And so just growing up in really just an educated, hungry, hungry for education area. And my brother, he's 8 years older than me. He actually graduated from Stanford in 2016. And that was like his dream, was just to go to Stanford. And like for me, watching my brother like achieve his dream, it was like, well, I could do that. Like he you know, like that's my brother. He grew up with me. Like I could do whatever he can do. So
he paved the way.
yeah, he paved the way. And so like boxing was always like my number one. But like I'm going to school, I'm gonna do good in school. I'm not gonna like fail my classes and stuff. So like I just, you know, applied myself to school as well as hard as I apply myself to boxing, and it just ended up getting me into Stanford. So I'm extremely
you
blessed.
managed both. You know, when I hit you up, you were like, "Hey, let's do the podcast. I got spring break." I'm like, "Yeah, there's spring break. That's good." I don't remember what spring break feels like anymore. But you know, how do you manage? Like, this is not a joke to be a pro boxer, but how do you manage your time? And this goes to people that are in school and also trying to get jobs and have, you know, life issues and so forth. How do you manage your time that in making sure that you're excelling at Stanford University, which is a demanding school, at the same time excelling with Eddie Croft, who's a demanding coach that is professional?
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Well, honestly, it was just kind of like finding the right balance. Like I was really big on overtraining before. So my freshman and sophomore years in like 2021, 2022, those were really difficult for me. Like while I was still amateur, I was interning. Well, I was freshman and sophomore, going to national tournaments for USA Boxing, and I had an internship with Mayweather Promotions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was kind of having like three things going on at the same time.
Okay.
And so with those things, like I was like, I didn't have the help with snack that I do today, thankfully. But like at the time, I was just beating myself into the ground, running. I would train at the gym for like 3 to 4 hours after going to class and stuff, run 10 to 15 miles at night until midnight, do homework super late and with minimum recovery, and literally just
do it again.
Yeah, beat myself in the ground, barely eating, not getting the proper nutrition or recovery, and just still, you know, finding a way to compete at a high level. And then going into like, that lasted for like a couple years, and then going into 2023 where it was kind of like my last year as an amateur, Casey Croft, she stepped in and was like, all right, dude, like, you can't be doing this. Like, you're extremely overtrained. You're not performing like you should. So she like was a major help in just like, you know,
fine tuning the program.
Yeah, like you can actually eat food. You know, like you don't have to be vegan, running 15 miles, sparring a whole lot of. So she like programmed everything, and so actually like my schedule now feels a lot easier than it did before. So it's obviously it's hard work, but it's a lot more fine tuned, and thanks to like Eddie and Casey for like understanding my schedule, but always putting boxing first. We schedule my classes around my boxing schedule, around when Eddie can be in the gym, around when we know our sparring partners can come. So just like all around communication with me and my trainers, that kind of just is how I'm able to do it. But it's never easy.
That's incredible. And Casey's also a boxer.
Yes.
So we should put that out there. But it sounds like the efficiency has been improved for you to perform on all levels.
Yes.
And that's great that they're understanding of your commitments elsewhere. How important is running to boxing? You know, like, is it one of the most essential cardio preparations that you do, running 10, 15 miles or however many miles? Is that like, do you feel if you didn't run that much, you probably would not do as well in boxing?
Yeah, well, I do not condone running 10 to 15 miles. That was my overtraining. Now I run like 4 miles 3 days a week with 2 sprint days, but I do run 5 days a week, whether it's long distance or sprinting. But running is definitely very important.
Let me ask you, when you're running, are you doing kind of a hit type run too? So you'll do some long distance running and then all of a sudden you sprint, stop, do long distance, or is it just kind of more long distance?
So I normally do like kind of Monday, Wednesday, Friday are just like strictly for long distance, just whether it's just trying to control my breathing, listening to music while I run, or like Tuesday we'll do like on those like curved treadmills, we'll do like sprint workouts and, you know, like band explosion stuff for my upper body. And like those are like the hit workouts. Then we'll do like a track day. Sometimes that's on Saturday or Thursday, depending on our sparring schedule. And those are kind of like our let's go all in on these.
Wow. How hard is it to find good sparring partners? Has it been difficult or?
I would say I've been lucky because like the Bay Area, like we're kind of like our own like boxing area, you know, like it's not Vegas or LA or Philly, wherever. But like there are people around here. So it's not necessarily like a hot zone where it's super easy to find sparring, but there's also like a few other people that are around here. So we're able to, you know, communicate with them. I got the opportunity last camp to work with a French Olympian he's going to fight for world title eliminator in his next fight, 𝐒𝐢𝐦𝐭𝐳 𝐒𝐢𝐻𝐿. So he was great preparation for my third fight. Like just, you know, like getting a lot of pro sparring. And yeah, like it's a lot of people around like 10-0, whatever it is, just all, you know, trying to work together.
Like 10 is such a big number in boxing, right?
Yeah.
It's like once you get to 10 fights, you're like, man, this is like a serious thing.
It's a lot harder than like I realized as a kid. Like after my first fight, I walked up to Eddie, I was like, I don't know how you did that like 20 something times. Like like that was crazy. And like now, like even now I'm realizing like I'm at 4 and we're going to my 5th and it's gonna be you know, gonna be like my first year as a pro. Thinking about like Floyd Mayweather being like 50-0, that's crazy. Like doing that 10 times me is crazy.
Yeah, for decades.
Yeah.
And then training, right? Like you got to prep. The prep is the big work. Like the fight is the fight, but the prep is strenuous on the body.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And is Floyd your like one of your favorite boxers of all time? Where do you rank him?
Yeah, he's my number one favorite. He's the fight that actually got me like into boxing was Floyd Mayweather versus Miguel Cotto.
Okay, I remember that fight. That was years ago, but I remember that fight.
Yeah, that was my fight. And then I would say my second favorite fighter is Andre Ward. It's kind of mandatory.
He's a Bay Area guy, right?
Yes.
Andre Ward. Yeah.
Yes, he is. Yeah. So just looking up to him, like
he had a really good record too, Andre Ward. I think he's
33-0.
Yeah,
and he was number 1 in the world after Floyd. So. Seeing somebody from the Bay Area do what I want to do is truly inspiring.
Wow. He was undefeated. I knew he was like up there.
No, he was the guy.
He was the guy.
He was the guy.
Sorry, Andre Ward. That's pretty incredible. Yeah, I mean, Floyd is, I think technically probably the best boxer out. I saw a really funny clip the other day with Floyd Mayweather, and this kind of goes back to all these young kids nowadays. Floyd Mayweather was sitting next to, who's this rapper? He's this one rapper. Why can't I remember his name? You wouldn't know, but he's sitting next to this rapper, and this rapper's like the Soldier Boy or something like this. And he's like, I used to knock people out.
I saw
did
that
you see
actually.
that clip?
Yeah, I did.
Floyd's like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, this is pretty much the type of guy out there nowadays. I'm not saying he didn't knock somebody out, but in reality, it's like I had this conversation. We had a contractor over here earlier this week, and he was talking about beating somebody up and this and that. I was like, well, you should choke him. And I showed him the truth. I was like, whoa. And I was like, you know what? There's so many levels to like, you're a boxer, then you're a dad boxer, then you're like then you're a professional, then you're a really good professional, right?
Yeah.
And so what Soldier Boy or whoever that was saying that to Floyd, and Floyd looked at him like, I was laughing for a while. Let me ask you, growing up boxing, obviously you're confident, and this is for the younger kids out there. You probably didn't get bullied as much. I'm sure there's still bullying, but people didn't want to mess with you, right?
Well, I was like really small as a kid. Like for a long time, I was like barely 5 feet and like 80, 90 pounds.
Really?
Yeah. Like going into high school, my first fight in high school was boxing fight. I didn't get into street fights in high school. Was like at 106 pounds, and I was just a real small guy with like real squeaky voice and stuff like that. So I did kind of get messed with a little bit because I had been boxing for a while. So people were like, oh yeah, he's a fighter. And then like the bigger guys were like,
it doesn't matter.
Do you see this? Like, so like, and I had anger issues growing up too. So I was very quick to like just get really mad at people.
Okay, so, you had a short fuse.
Yeah,
that's a dangerous combination.
Yeah, but like I never like got into anything like super serious like that.
Well, you wouldn't be at Stanford University if you did.
Yeah, thankfully.
Thank God. But it did help, right? I mean, like you're confident as a man. That like, hey, don't test me now, especially now. I would imagine more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's also what's truly special about Eddie's gym.
Yeah.
Like because he has like all the kids classes, teenage classes, and like I often see like kids that like they come in all quiet, like head down, like just don't even have confidence in their walk. But like after a week, a month, a year, they're moving different. So
I like that.
It's definitely special to see like kids like actually believe in themselves, like even if they don't want to fight.
Eddie's a great developer of that mindset for the young man and woman. That's great that because there's a lot of bullying. I see it all the time, and to build confidence is an important thing. Let's talk a little bit about Stanford University. When you got accepted, and your brother was there, I'm sure he wrote a letter of recommendation for you. Hopefully he did. When you got accepted, what was that like a big dream completed, a goal, or?
Yeah, like I remember the exact moment I was like in the barbershop and I got like a notification. I was like dad, like it actually happened. Like it actually like because like I was just hoping at that point, but like then I finally see it. I'm like, it actually happened. It actually happened. Wow. And so it was definitely like a surreal feeling, but it's truly just a blessing.
It is. Were you a great student in high school? So in high school you got all A's?
All A's.
Okay, good.
All A's. I was a U.S. Presidential Scholar in the Arts, which is like the highest art award you can get in the country as a high schooler. Wow. I was published in the New York Times and stuff like that just for my art. So I just applied myself in my art a lot through photography, writing, painting, whatever it was. And then that just was enough for Stanford.
Wow, dude, that's incredible. With your art, do you love to draw? Do you love photography? What is it like? Let's say after boxing, what is Dante gonna do? How are you gonna use that degree, or what's your dream or goal?
But photography is like that's my love, really. So photography and creative writing are like my number 1 and 2.
Okay, creative writing too.
Yeah.
Excellent. So one day you could write your own about Dante and how it was like being hit with a noodle by Eddie Croft. And you know what I'm talking about when he hits.
Oh, yeah.
The noodle is famous for him, right?
Yeah.
Is that common in every boxing gym, or is it just Eddie?
I see sometimes on like Instagram videos, but not like how Eddie does it. 'Cause Eddie tries to take people's heads off. So.
I was like, when he hit me with that, I was like, yo, man, I got 3 kids, don't do this. I was like, this is not a good idea. And he's like, come on, you're too stiff. I was like, all right, this is not for me. I'll go roll down on your side over there with the jiu-jitsu guys. And then I got beat up there too. So, all right. Give me a perspective for those that haven't done any type of physical sport. Or a fight, whether it's boxing, karate. Now there's karate combat. I actually had the co-founder on, Adam, shout out. Dirty Boxing's coming out. That's a new thing. I don't know if you've seen it. Same founder. Basically boxing, but there's no grappling. So you can punch a guy on the ground until a knockout, but you can't get on your knees. So you can only do it standing punching. Okay. So it's like, and there's elbows. Okay. This is like a new thing they're trying to do. It's actually kind of interesting because one of the biggest misconceptions, or not misconceptions, but complaints about the UFC is the grappling. It slows down the event. They're rolling, they're wrestling, and so forth. And people want to see action, right? Yeah. So Dirty Boxing came in with, well, we're going to give you everything but the jiu-jitsu or the wrestling. So elbows, hitting people on the ground. But give a perception to anybody out there that's never been in a fight or never been in a ring fight. What is it like? The adrenaline, the nervousness, the sweating, the breathing. Like, describe it, man. It's something that you can only describe. I've been in competition, but not boxing, obviously.
Well, boxing is such a complicated sport, and I think a comparison is like, I would imagine like it feels like to run a marathon, but with somebody trying to trip you for all of the marathon and needing to focus on never falling for all 26 and a half miles or whatever it is. That's kind of like what boxing is. You have to have like the endurance and the conditioning to run the marathon, but like you can never let up for a minute mentally or physically. And like all of like that mental focus that like is built over time, mental endurance, like physical endurance as well. And I guess kind of speaking to, I guess, how the physicality of the sport is, this was something I kind of learned in the pros. Like, I don't know what it was. I think it's like the smaller gloves or something. But when I started landing body shots in the pros, I'd thrown a body shots my whole life in sparring or in amateur fights. But in the pros, when I would like land a shot, I hear a guy go, like,
grimace a little bit.
Like, that's when I was like, oh, like these are actual punches. like I'd been throwing a jab to the body my whole life, and I got a knockdown with the jab to my jab to the body for the first time as a pro. Like, I landed it right on the solar plexus, and I was like,
took him out.
Yeah, I was like, this is an actual body shot. Like, it's not just to land now.
Does Eddie teach body shots a lot? Like, does he say, hey, the head is your maybe a target that a lot of people would assume is a big target, but body shots could really take a person out of a fight pretty quickly. I mean, it really takes, and I've seen it in like a lot of UFC fights where all of a sudden someone goes to the body and it changes the game. I've seen it in boxing fights as well, but does Eddie like push that or?
Yeah, I mean, like two of our favorite fighters are like James Toney, Mike McCallum, the body snatcher. And so he would just jab and attack the body. And like, I was a big Earl Spence fan growing up, and he would just jab and attack the body. And so like at the national tournaments, sometimes they'd be in like high altitude where it's already hard to breathe. And I would just be attacking people's bodies, and it would just drain people. So like I fell in love with it, and Eddie saw I was good at it. And like, obviously Eddie knows the importance of body punches. So like we just, think about different ways to, throw some shots to the head, distract him, boom, body shot. And just, yeah.
How strong is your core, man? It must be even that movement right there. Like, this guy's got a strong core. How essential is a good core to everything you do in terms of boxing?
It's definitely super important. Like for me, like I'd been just doing core exercises ever since I was a kid. I think it was partly because of the Rocky movies. Just like I was like, I'm supposed to work hard because like as a little kid, like as soon as I started boxing, I would wake up before school at like 6 in the morning and just do, well, the entire day I would do 400 push-ups, 800 sit-ups, and I would split it 200 and 400 in the morning and then 200 and 400 after boxing. And like, that's just kind of like a thing I've been doing ever since I was a kid. Like now I do like 1,000.
Like I have a son. I want him to be fit.
Nobody told me to do that.
Really? Like, did your brother do the same thing?
No.
Okay.
No, like, okay. No, my dad didn't tell me to do it.
Your dad, the LeVar Ball of boxing?
No, he was, like, I just did it for fun. Like I would just do it to see how far I could push my body. Like that was like, I didn't understand, like I could push myself too far. But yeah, I would just wake up 200, 300 or 400 and then do it again. And
how many push-ups can you do now? Have you tested yourself since? Or?
I don't even know.
You don't
like,
do it.
Yeah, like sit-ups. Yeah. Sit-ups is crazy. Really? Like, I could go pretty far on sit-ups. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah, I could go pretty far on sit-ups. Like I do like 1,000 a day. That's kind of like my go-to.
You still do 1,000 sit-ups a day?
Yeah. I do 1,000 after training.
100 at a time, or like?
I do like sets of 100, but like I can push myself like way farther if I want
Christ.
to. Just like a variation of like ab exercises. I try to hit like all areas because like,
yeah, it's important. Yeah. You're getting punched there.
I'm not doing it to look good. I'm doing it to take a shot.
You probably look good doing it too, but like that's for the ladies to find out. Now, in terms of your like, you've got a lot going on, man. You just got out of high school. Or not just, but you're in Stanford. Is there any room for dating life for you, or is this like, are you dating? Or?
Yeah, I have a girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been dating for. Oh, she's gonna hit me. Like 9 months.
Edit this out.
Yeah. Yeah, but like we've been dating for a while, but she's like very career driven. And actually we met through boxing. So she's a boxing reporter or just reporter in general, but she interviewed me going into my pro debut. Actually in the ring, like she was my post-fight interview and stuff like that, and like pre-fight leading up to it. So like she obviously knew I was dedicated to boxing like going into it. So like she's been very understanding just with my schedule the same way Eddie and Casey are. So
because she knows how it works.
Yeah. I'm just blessed to have someone who understands that.
Yeah, because it's demanding. So you do have some time, but if not, you're not getting yelled at. I had a podcast just before you with a real estate guy. We were talking about how robots are going to be girlfriends, and because of time demand and constraint and all that. But I'm glad you're okay. So you're doing it all around, man. This is great news. All right. In terms of sparring, do you guys ever like? Again, I'm not a professional in this, so there's a lot of guys, as you know, on the internet that are like, he didn't punch this way right, or he's not that good at jiu-jitsu. I'm not a professional. But in jiu-jitsu, when I do spar, and sometimes it's too rough for me because I'm older and I'm not trying to be, the champion of the world. Do you ever get guys that come into the gym at B Street or, really like, I'm going to test this guy, and how do you prevent that, or what do you do?
I mean, it's kind of happened all my life because like I'm not like a super intimidating looking guy. So people already underestimate me, even other fighters. So there's always going to be someone who's like, if they see a picture of me up in the gym, they're like, that's your guy. Like that's the best guy in the gym. That's always
so they're
been,
always testing you.
It's not just been me. I mean, before me, it was with Eddie's old pro Ricardo Pinell, and he would have to piece people up every now and then. But now that's my job. So
now you're holding the throne.
Yeah.
So they come in, they test you, but you're ready, and then you're the underdog, or you feel maybe like it, and then you're like, I got this.
I mean, not at all. It's kind of in their head. They just don't understand. I mean, like, it doesn't really happen that much, like, anymore. And, like, also if it happens, too, like, Eddie's kind of like,
he steps in.
Yeah, like, I have sparring days with other pros this week, and we have a specific schedule. We can't waste any time doing that when I got to go to school in an hour or something like that.
Yeah. So, and the pros are professionals, so they're not out here random guy in the gym, which you get it. Actually, you get that in jiu-jitsu all the time. Some random guy comes in and wants to show you up. And they do. And in my case, other guys are probably good. All right. So if you said you work for the Money Team or TMT.
I interned at Mayweather Promotions.
You interned at Mayweather Promotions. What was that like? What did you do there?
It was a great experience. So I was a marketing and PR intern. Okay. So I handled their social media for a bit, and I got to go to some interesting fights. Like my first fight for them actually was Mayweather versus Logan Paul. In Miami, which was a very interesting experience.
They made some money on that fight. They were both ready.
Yeah, and then after that, I got to.
Let's talk about the Mayweather Logan Paul fight. What's your take on that whole thing? Like, you got a really professional fighter, probably the best ever, right, to do it, and then you got, or arguably the best, some will say not, and then you got Logan Paul, who's a great YouTuber and strong, but he's bigger. I think he's a lot bigger than Mayweather.
Absolutely.
What's your take on all that? Like celebrity boxers coming in to fight professional boxers. Does it water down the sport and everything, or is it more money?
I think for fans, it kind of waters down the sport, but not for me. I think about it as there's celebrity basketball games and people just disregard those. Nobody's like, Kevin Hart's the MVP of the celebrity basketball game.
Did he ever win MVP?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah, 4 times or something.
You kidding me? Is that good?
Yeah, but no one's like, Kevin Hart's better than LeBron James.
That's true.
It's just kind of it's a celebrity game. They do that. And so that's kind of how I view it. It's just kind of a shame that people are like, Logan Paul's he might actually win. Floyd's just having fun. He's
like a black belt in there against an amateur in this case. He's he could turn it on at any moment.
Exactly. I'm sure if right now LeBron wanted to play some high school bench player, he
Or
could just
even a
have
good
fun.
player.
Yeah, like he could have fun, and the high school kid could try as hard as he wanted to, but it wouldn't matter.
There's there's also like these videos on people go, oh, he's a weak NBA player, not LeBron, but like like the weakest NBA player, right? Like the lowest, doesn't play on any games or whatever, bench player. He'll go to any gym and he'll piece everybody up. Yeah. Because that's the level of professionalism and the level of skill set to even get to that level. Like the worst NBA player is the best player in any gym. Yeah, like I think there's this player, Brian Scalabrine, who's like notoriously known as like the worst guy. He smoked somebody in the gym at like 40-something years old, and he was like, "I'm closer to LeBron James than you are to me." I saw that. That's exactly. And it's true though. So pieced him up. Yeah, that's so funny. So Floyd could have pieced up Logan, but he put on a show. Yeah. What about Jake Paul? I've seen Jake Paul in Miami in person. Mm-hmm. He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He's a really big dude. I stood next to him, and I was like, damn. My brother-in-law, you may know him, Lawrence. He trained at B Street sometimes. I don't think he does it anymore because he went to college. But I stood next to him and
yeah, they're both big dudes. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him? Great boxer, professional, gonna go professional. Why doesn't he go professional? Like what?
Jake Paul?
Yeah.
He's been pro. He's had some pro fights. He just.
He has had pro fights.
Yeah, so he has fought like a few UFC fighters. He fought Tyron Woodley.
But is that a pro fight? Like,
it's a pro fight. So like you can go. I think his record. He lost to Tyson Fury's brother one time. But that's his only loss. Yeah. But yeah, like these are pro fights. He fought Anderson Silva in a boxing match. I think technically the Mike Tyson one might have been. I'm not really sure, but like. Yeah, with like Jake Paul, I mean, he's been like dedicating himself to the sport for like a minute now, but I kind of treat him, I use basketball terms a lot. Yeah. I like basketball. Yeah. I think of him as like a D3 basketball player, which is like, you're like pretty good, but you're not D1, you're not D2, and you're not going to be NBA level, but you're decent.
Understood. He's decent. He's there. He's a great marketer. Yeah. And, but is he going to be world champion? No.
Absolutely not.
I got it. Mike Tyson and him fought, and then I hit up Eddie after that. I was like, what the hell? Because that was, dude, Tyson, even at that age, it's scary. And the way he was hitting the bag and so forth. But Eddie told me Tyson got old and he's gotten slow. Do you think this fight, like Tyson was what you described Mayweather was doing with Logan, where he's holding back? Or do you think Tyson was just old and it's past his prime, and Jake knows enough to do what he did?
I think it's a little bit of like the Mayweather stuff, but also just like his age. Like, I mean, Tyson's rear leg, I think his ACL or knee was messed up or something. And like, that's your push off leg. And so like, you can't be explosive with that really. Obviously in training, you could do videos edited down super short and stuff like that. But as far as like the actual fight, like, he had to chase Jake Paul a little bit. So
and that wears you down.
Yeah.
At that age.
Yeah. It wears you down. It's tough on the joints and stuff like that. And like, he doesn't have to fight for money. So like, I mean, maybe if he was younger, he might have tried to push through that or whatever, but there's no reason to.
But you know what, Dante, he did fight for money. And the good news is he bought a nice mansion in Florida right after that fight.
Yeah, he did.
For 12 mil or whatever, shout out. And you guys comment below. You think Tyson let it, took it easy on him or not? Let us know. But that was fun to watch. But he got paid, and that's great. Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. And all right, that's good to know. Long term, are you hoping to take this pro thing to the highest level, or what's your goal there?
Yeah, that's been my goal literally since the beginning. Like before my dad even brought me to Eddie, I was like, I want to do what Floyd did. I want to be the best ever. And so like that was my goal from the beginning. As a kid, like I didn't know that meant, being amateur for 12, 13 years and like how tough these fights are. But that's been my goal from the very beginning. And like I've loved every single step of this journey.
What to get to that level, to get some promotion behind you, like what's the next step? What do you think you need to do, or your team in this case needs to do to get you that attention to start really getting to that level? Obviously, you got to keep winning fights, right?
Yep.
That's a no-brainer. No one's gonna really push unless you're very successful in what you're doing. But what do you need to get to Mayweather's level or one of even beyond?
Well, naturally, it kind of takes like, I would say like 4 to 5 years for somebody to like kind of work their way up to like mandatory title contention or just kind of to be known. So you kind of do just have to pay your dues just with fights. But another like strategy is looking at like the guys who are known, who their opponents are, and fight their opponents. You're like, okay, you beat this guy that was 12-0. Well, you beat him, I beat him too. So and you know, kind of like establishing a narrative and just like building your own brand. And so like for me, all of my fights have been here in the Bay Area by choice. And so like I want to build up Bay Area boxing again. And like we have like good talent now, like just not just me, like there's other pro fighters with more fights than me that are going to do their own things and become world champions, hopefully. So yeah, just like.
But I see you, I really see you going above the Bay Area, man. If you're really going to stick to it. You're gonna
I want to go above the Bay Area for sure. But I like,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like,
but I just see you doing. Like if you're really that committed, I really think you're good. Saw a few clips, you know, and I know Eddie's really vested in you, and I think you got some potential here, man. Way above. You know, another thing you mentioned, and I've had people all walks of life on this podcast. Building a brand, you said earlier, that's so essential, I think, nowadays to that money or the success of anything that you guys do. Because like once you build this brand, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok or your personal space, that's where the opportunity for you, in my opinion, and for any other professional or amateur boxer or power slap champion, which I recently had on, you know, all these interesting aspects and different MMAs out there. Building a brand's going to get the advertiser in, the followers, and so forth. And it looks like you're on your way to do that. How has that helped get you more attention?
Honestly, I haven't really felt it in like my pro career. I think I'm at like 8,000 on Instagram, like 50,000 on TikTok. And like, so I've kind of just been, you know, it's kind of hard to do while I'm at Stanford just because like I have to take videos, edit the videos, whatever, because I got to do it by myself. So that's kind of been tough as a student. So I'm looking forward to, So when I graduate in June, I'm looking forward to just kind of being able to, you know, like further establish my brand and, you know, being able to market myself in that way. But
I would, if I were you, just from like, not from my experience, I don't have a big following on YouTube, got good following, but I think just from what everybody told me, that is so important. And I think you're going to have to dedicate some time, because a lot of the people look what everybody that's pro doing is, once they have this big brand and all of a sudden they want they want to see that person fight, whether they're a professional or not, whether they're fighting Jake Paul. It's just Jake Paul is making money because he's not the best boxer. But because he has this following and he's able to spin it, right? So that's great. I think you're on your way to doing it, it sounds like. And with more time, you're gonna get to the next level. How was it growing up in you said East Palo Alto or Palo Alto?
Palo Alto.
Palo Alto. How was it growing up in Palo Alto?
Just a good neighborhood, so,
so nice
really
there.
No reason to fight.
There's not. Like everybody's so nice. It's techie. I'm surprised you're not in tech. Is your brother in tech?
Yes, he is.
What does he do?
So he is a co-founder of his company called Vori. So him and one of his friends from Stanford, they started from scratch, and they've just been working. So
what does it do? Do you know, or is it like
they're kind of similar to Instacart, like how. Except they kind of work behind the scenes, so they digitize like what vendors and grocers do. Like they were just kind of doing it on hand, on paper, and so like they digitized it, made an app for it, and I think they've expanded beyond that since then. But so it was like a small niche, but it's been very successful.
Good for him. That sounds incredible. You know, I'll say this. I didn't go to college, but I'll say this: as far as like, I've had a question before: is college necessary? And I think what college does in a school like Stanford is it allows you to meet that next business partner, that networking that you are going to be able to get to. And I think for you, it's so essential. And for your brother, I would imagine he would say the same thing.
Yeah.
Where, if he didn't go, he wouldn't have that opportunity to start that company. And that's why Stanford charges that amount of money. Obviously, there's scholarships and so forth, but it's so essential, and that's the big difference, right? You literally have a networking group of individuals that you could lean back on, get a job with in the future, hire a lawyer from Stanford through alumni or whatever it may be to better yourself. And I think that's incredible. And that's so cool that you get to say you're going to have a Stanford degree. Are you ever going to go back to school, do you think? Or once you graduate? No,
I'm going to be a full-time fighter then.
Full-time fighter?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hope to get invited to one of your fights in the future.
Absolutely.
I know there's one local here. I'll try to make it. Full-time fighter. Do you ever get worried? Like, obviously boxing, and I talked with Eddie about this. It's like, dude, it's such a sport where one hit could change the course of your life. And it could be in any, it could be in the NFL or could be in any sport, right? That's physical. Do you ever get a little worried, or your parents get worried that it could have a long-term effect on you? Or is that like, you're like, nah, man, this is what I'm meant to do?
I mean, like, I've seen the dangers of the sport, like, and the effects on people. Like, I've met boxing legends that are clearly not the same people that they were. And so that's why, like, in our style too, like, we prioritize defense. We, like, we try to be careful in our preparation, like, because it's like really just all around, like, the physical preparation, the nutrition, the hydration, oxygen, all that stuff, like, will obviously help your physical health, but also making the right choices, like, in the ring defensively, not trying to be this, like, ugly brawler that's gonna be crowd pleasing, but take 5 years off his life with a single fight. So
very technical in defense to prevent. And I would imagine also cardio is such a big aspect of it, because once the cardio goes, that's when the chances of a big hit coming towards you, because you can't keep your hands up as much. You're not moving back as fast, not weaving out of the way. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah. So that's why I'm very thankful to Casey Croft and Snack, because like they like manage all of that stuff. So I got proper nutrition, oxygen levels, water, whatever. So even in the training camp, I'm healthy, and they handle the weight cut and stuff. So all of that is just amazing going into fight night.
Mayweather has his own promotion. Do you want to sign up with them? Would that be like a good thing? Or if you could pick a promotion to take you to that next level, which promotion do you think is a good fit?
I don't know, actually, because it really depends on how I see. Right now I'm a middleweight. It really depends on how I see my division playing out, and like what promoters kind of like has like the hand on that division. So like we'll see in like a few years if like I jump up in weight, or if right now middleweight's like a good division, but if everybody leaves to this one promoter, I kind of gotta feel out where to go. But
Dana White recently announced, and you probably know, he's getting into boxing.
Yeah,
he wants to combine the promotions, from what I read, to have a champion of all boxing, so to speak. And listen, I wouldn't put it past him if he's successful at it. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think this is a good thing to combine all these different belts and really have one championship belt, or is this just kind of a dream, so to speak?
Well, actually, me and Eddie have talked about this. Like, Eddie was like, I got this idea. like
Eddie, you're always, Eddie's late again.
But, so like, I think one belt is good. What
did the conversation between you two go? He said, I got this idea.
It happened like a few years ago, like, because I like always think about, like, this was when I was like first interning at Mayweather Promotions and stuff like that. And so I got to see like the behind the scenes of like the business and stuff. So I was just thinking like, like there's all this stuff. People got to be mandatories for whatever belt. There's 4 belts. continentals, world, whatever. Like, how do we make it like one belt and like combine these promotional companies? Because like I believe at the time, a big fight was Earl Spence versus Terrence Crawford, and they were, you know, separated by like two promotional companies, and it's just like, how do you like eliminate that? So that kind of like UFC format is good, but I don't honestly see how Dana White's gonna be successful unless if he pays people.
Yeah, big time.
So like
boxing pays way more in general than, I mean, listen, the UFC guys, and they're, in Dana's defense, he's provided a lot of UFC top stars a lot of money. They're buying nice houses. I've seen the top stars, right?
Yeah.
But in boxing, it's way above. You've got maybe not the best fighters making good pay, the best fighters making really good pay and above what a UFC pay. So you're saying he needs to pay people to get that fight going.
Like, I think it'll be really great for like the low level boxers, like, because boxers don't really make much until like you see them on TV. So, like, I think it'll be great for those guys.
You know what he's going to do, in my opinion? He's going to welcome some of the boxers to come in, and he may pay a few to get this promotion really up, like a Mayweather, right? Or a big name or someone. But I think what the UFC does great, including what I've seen with Power Slap, which people were doubting. It's like, why do you need Power Slap? But it's grown pretty substantially.
Yeah.
Is he builds the characters.
Yes.
He builds the brands of each of these individuals. And therefore, by building the brand of the individual, it builds the company. And I think that's going to be his strategy. I'm not sure if that is a strategy, but I think it's going to be a strategy. Yeah. Because sorry to interrupt, it cuts the bureaucracy of the different belts out of like promotions, fighting with each other and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I honestly, boxing promoters are very lazy. Like there's a fighter who's really good that I'm very frustrated that he got cut from a promotional company. He's undefeated, but just because they were like,
how do you cut someone undefeated?
they're like, you're like a boring character, but it's your job as you're the promoter, promote the guy. So I'm upset at that.
You know what's funny is after doing this video stuff, I was like, and really messing up in videos and so forth. If you're good at video editing or you're good at the skill set, you can make anybody look good on camera. It's just like, dude, you could be the most boring person. And I'm not the most charismatic, and I've seen others, but you can make anybody with great editing and the great promotion. Yeah. You know, and you add a couple flares to the mix. Yeah. You know, that's their fault.
Yeah, because like with like current boxing promoters, they just like, oh, okay, we'll post you on Instagram 6 times the week of the fight. But like Floyd, he was on Dancing with the Stars and stuff like that. like that, and he went to the WWE for a bit. He fought the Big Show on there. Like
Floyd's a smart, you know what? He's not the best reader according to 50 Cent. But he and 50 as well, great promoters. Man, my God. And Floyd is a smart man. Yeah. Another thing he does really well, I think, is he surrounds himself with a good team of investors, people that manage or help manage his money, which is very important because, you know, like a lot of these professional athletes blow their money. Yes. They get in trouble. They have, you know, baby mamas and this and that. And listen, you know, once you get to a stage and people know, in any stage, people know you have money, you got to protect that money. And that's, no matter what business you're in, they're going to try to come get it. So you got to be smart. Yeah. Right. Like people, it's easy to make money. You know, people go, oh, how do you make your first $1 million? Listen, you can make $1 million. That's fine. But how do you make that 2 million or 3 million? And how do you prevent something tragic from happening to take that money away? Yeah. And I think Floyd is great at having like great accountants, great people around him. Absolutely. And I think that's something to consider as well. Have you met Floyd before or no?
Just once.
Was he nice?
Yeah, he was real nice, and he's just like very, like I could just see just in his behavior, he's very just aware of everything going on around him.
Yeah, he's a high energy. Yeah, it's good for him. Good for him. If you could fight anybody, who would it be?
Whoever a world champion is. Whoever. Yeah, like I don't have beef with anybody, but I'll take whoever is in my way. So
would you fight Floyd?
if he was a middleweight and a world champion, I'd take it.
You want the championship.
Yeah,
You don't give a
I
damn.
want the
who-
belt.
You don't want to fight Jake Paul. You want the championship.
If he had the middleweight belt, I'd take it.
Dude, that is drive, man. I read a book the other day. If you're gonna do something, do it big.
Yeah.
That was the motto. And some people go into it like, I don't know, but you seem to have that spark. Like, hey, I'm gonna do this big. I'm gonna be champion. That's a drive, and that's incredible. Keep that going, man.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's something my dad built in me. Just for me and my brother, he was like, if you want to do anything in life, work hard and you can do whatever you want. That person on TV, you can do what they can do if you just apply yourself. So that's just something that like he's just instilled in me, is just self-belief. So
have you ever like felt where you can't do something, and how did you get it? No, you never felt that.
Like anything is just work hard for it. Like,
love that. So there's no off ramp in your mind. You're like, nah, I'm getting it done no matter what.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like as a kid, like if there was anybody bigger or better than me, I was like, I'm going to work hard until I beat this person. Like,
damn.
So like, that's just what it was.
Have you went up with people bigger than you? Obviously in training? Yeah, all the time. And you said you were smaller size.
Yeah.
Is it a lot more difficult in boxing in that skill set to really go up 20 pounds heavier than you, et cetera?
I think in fights, it really depends on the skill level. Like if you're the same skill level and there's that weight difference, then it's going to make a huge difference. But I mean, like I beat up heavyweights in the gym that aren't on my level. So like
your skill set's way above.
Yeah. Yeah. So
do you mentioned nutrition a lot of times.
Yes.
Obviously there's so much weight is a big factor in boxing and all professional sports. Do you weight cut? Have you had to do that? Or like, were you worried about it? What's your routine for that?
Yeah, like my weight cut is like mostly like water based. Like snack handles a lot of it. Like I have a diet plan, but I'm just super hydrated. I drink like gallon a day and stuff. And
I need to do that, man. You came in. It
feels great.
Grab your bottle. He came in here with this. And,
2 of these a day.
And I'm like, you drink, I was like, do you drink 1 of these a day? Because I was curious and I was like excited. And then he's like, no, I do 2. I'm like, oh shit.
Like,
I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good. You're motivating me. My God, 2 a day. and man, dude, you've got this drive. It's a very interesting drive. I think a lot of people that are close to you would agree to that. That's it's like you have this dog in you. One question I asked, funny enough, one question I asked when Eddie, and if you guys are interested in this podcast, check out the Eddie Croft podcast. That's Dante's coach and professional boxer with a stellar record, champion. I asked him when you got brought up, I was like, Stanford University and professional boxer. I was like, does this guy have a dog in him? Like, because, like you get boxing's a tough sport. Usually it's kids that don't grow up in Palo Alto. Yeah. The parents don't need that or don't want that, right?
Yeah. I think I remember his response was, you got to be a little crazy.
Yeah. And I was like, this makes sense. You watched that podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad somebody watched it.
Yeah.
So you got to be a little crazy to be where you are.
Yeah.
To fight.
Because I mean, honestly, like I grew up in Palo Alto. Like my family's just normal middle class family. Like I have no reason to fight. Like I could just go to Stanford, be happy with what I've done like as a boxer, and then just I could have like just pursued tech at Stanford just like every other Stanford student. But it was like this is what I want to do. I'm going to go all in here. And so, yeah, I'm probably a little bit of crazy for that.
You could, you could always pursue tech. And I think that it adds a bit of flair as a professional boxer being in tech. I mean, if you look at a lot of people past NFL career, I had an NFL player on the podcast. Excuse me. Had an NFL player on the podcast very recently. And that guy's like, hey, I'm using that platform to promote whatever next project they have. So in your case, you could always like focus on what you're focused on, but don't ever cut a bridge if you don't have to. You can always promote a brand of tech and being a pro boxer. That's what Floyd does, right? Yeah. He doesn't do boxing. He's a conglomerate.
Yeah.
And he's making money and showing it. And flying and all that fun stuff. So, all right. So what as we get wrapped up here, what's one piece of advice that really stuck with you growing up, whether it's from your dad or from Eddie, or anybody, a teacher? What's a piece of advice that you're like, hey, this?
I think it's what I mentioned a second ago about like you could do anything you apply yourself to. Just because like specifically my dad would say, that guy right there, he's got 2 arms and 2 legs just like you could do it too. Eddie's said that to me too, like going into fights and stuff. And it's true. Like anybody, like everyone is a human being. Nobody's perfect. Everyone applies themselves. Everyone works hard, or they're supposed to. But like you can do anything anybody else can do as long as you apply yourself. So yeah, I think that's the big thing, because like there's a lot of people who just don't believe in themselves. And so like at the gym sometimes I see kids, like I also mentioned earlier, that don't believe in themselves. And you know, like boxing will build their confidence, and then they have pep in their step now. So really, just
listen, we're human. Have you ever had those days where it's a tougher day, or maybe you do doubt yourself? I don't know if you, like, I've had different people talk about it. Some people are like, I don't doubt myself. If you do doubt yourself, or if you had that day, how do you switch your mindset to kick that thought process out and really refocus? Have you ever had that?
I think I did as a kid. But I think the way I overcame that was just like, I would honestly be very upset at myself if I was like how could I let this even like creep into my mind? And I'd be pissed off at myself. And so then that would kind of translate into like my training, because like I never would not go to the gym, so because like that was like boxing is like my therapy. So like I would just go to the gym. I love boxing, and like so I would be upset if something within me like deterred me from performing my best. So I think just like, you know, fighting with myself from that sense, but like that didn't really like happen too much, I don't think. But I'm just saying, like for a specific case, like I guess that would be how.
Just keep going.
Yeah. And then like also like my faith in God too. Like I've been raised Catholic my whole life. Nice. And like there's a verse that sticks with me, is like, my God has plans to prosper me and not to harm me. So really meaning like I'll be okay. Like whatever it is, I'll be okay. So as long as like I apply myself, he's got my back. And like he gave me a specific life with a specific gift and purpose. So I'm gonna
make it better, polish it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
you did great though. This has been a good part. Yeah, you did better than Eddie. No, don't kill me. All right, as we wrap up here with Dante, who's graduating Stanford University, who's got a pro fight coming up in May, graduation in June. He's going to go 10-0. That's the goal right now. And, you know, we're going to ask him one more question. And obviously a smart kid, very motivated. What I've picked up from the podcast is you just don't have a quit in you. And I love that. And it motivates me to try harder. If you could go back in time, you're not that old, but like maybe a few years. Usually this question works really well with older people. And give yourself a bit of advice. What would that advice be, and what time frame would that be at?
That's tough. I think the advice would be just to trust God. And I think I would say that to around myself at 16 or 17. Again, that was, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, just I overtrained a lot. And so sometimes like I didn't perform at my best, and I would like question like, okay, like, am I supposed to be doing this? Like, I love this, but am I supposed to be doing this? And at the time, like I would have like a lot of like questions or doubt if I should be continuing. But I was like, I just kept feeling like I was supposed to. And so like with like a lot of like prayer and like support, and like I believe like everything in my life is like specific and like handpicked, that like I grew up across the street from Stanford. Eddie is,
it was meant to be.
yeah, like Eddie's in San Mateo, really close to my house, and just like someone who's like a great mentor, and like everything just feels like it's meant to be. Like my dad introducing me into boxing, and so like that kind of like just made me like stick with boxing, and like my love for it, obviously. So I would say just to that period of time for myself, with like a lot of like fights and competition, to just like keep praying and keep trusting in God, and that'll get you everywhere you need to be.
Love it, man. Thank you so much for sharing. There you have it, guys. Dante Kirkman, professional boxer, Stanford student, 4-0 at this time, 2 knockouts. Really nice young man, and dangerous, I would imagine. And we're looking forward to seeing him continuing on this path. Thanks so much for coming down, Dante, and sharing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, a little bit about yourself, man. That's wonderful. And we'll link all his information below for follows so you can see his progress. And good luck to you. I know you're going to do well, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure.